Hello everyone! This is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to the January 2024 edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump into the questions. Brandon A asks, is it possible to create a bioweapon against certain traitor legions? In theory, yes, because that's pretty much the entire point of Basilio Foe's character in the Horus Heresy novels, because he's tasked with creating a weapon that will not just wipe out the traitor legions, but wipe out all Space Marines and the Primarchs as well. So if you can make a weapon to do that, then in theory you can make a weapon to take out one specific genetic sequence, yes. Why did it take Nurgle so long to come up with the zombie plague? Every race has stories of the undead attacking them. It didn't take him a long time though? I mean, it may have been a long time as far as the modern Imperium's concerned, but there have been instances of him using undead, far before this. I'm pretty sure that on Davin, the Sons of Horus not only encountered plague bearers but plague zombies as well, so it didn't take him that long, all things considered. Do you think you could do a Let's Play of Dawn of War Soulstorm, but with the Unification mod? Without crap my machine is, absolutely not. It can barely run Dawn of War as it is. It struggles with Dawn of War too, because I think it was the Chaos Rising expansion pack, the bit where you have to fight Orcaire. My machine was chugging single-digit frames, so if it struggles with that, it's not going to struggle with the Unification mod, I'm sorry, but no. Griffin of My Tasks, Happy New Year, Remlays. Happy New Year to you too. What books are you looking forward to this year? I have no idea because Games Workshop decided to get rid of the entire Coming Soon from Black Library page, so I have no idea what's coming out. Honest to God. The only thing I know that's coming out is the Reader's Choice edition of Lord of the Night, but that's it, so I guess I'll say that. Would the Jaquero theoretically be able to understand how to fix the Golden Throne, or improve or make changes upon it? In theory, yes, because they are indeed incredible technological savants, so it is theoretically possible, but I doubt the Imperium would ever let the Jaquero anywhere near the Golden Throne in the first place, so it's kind of a moot point really, but in theory it is possible, yes. Are there any instances of orcs deciding that since the Imperium is always fighting enemies, that they could fight alongside the Imperium for good fights? Yes, there is. Check out the short story Enemy of My Enemy, because it features the Imperial Guard and the orcs teaming up to fight against a Tyranid High Fleet, so yeah, go check that out because it's actually a really, really good story, and it has the best character in all of 40k, General Tacticus the Orc, and that scene where he's just playing with his toy tank, it's absolutely adorable. I love the guy, he's great. Terrorblades asks, has there been any news of the Lamenters since Psychic Awakening? I need to know if my boys are alive. I don't think they've been touched up upon since Psychic Awakening, in where they basically kidnapped a whole bunch of psychically sensitive prisoners. So yeah, I think that's literally the last time we've heard about them. Sorry. If you could bring a single item from 40k to yourself right now, what would it be? I.e. it would magically appear in your hands right now. I wouldn't say no to a pet servo skull. That could be cool. What are you hoping for in the coming year? Warhammer-wise or any other stuff you like? I'd say I'm looking forward to episode 200 of Adeptus Podcastus, purely because we're going to have another edition of the quiz, so that's going to be fun. Aside from that, nothing really comes to mind right now, no, sorry. A-Dog asks, realistically, what if Ferrus Manus used Cyclonic torpedoes on Istvan 5? Would there still have been a heresy with only 4 traitor legions against 9, maybe 10 loyal ones? There might have been, but it may have been a lot shorter considering that, Horus would have been blown up by a cyclonic torpedo. Same with Angron and Fulgrim. I think Mortarion was still in orbit, so I think he'd still survive, but I mean, considering what happened to Lorgar prior to then, I'd think he'd try to take command of the traitors because he tried to do so in the novel Slaves to Darkness, so I wouldn't put it past him. Pentadeuce asks, What 40k story do you believe to be underrated? 15 Hours, because I never see anyone talking about this book. It's a very sad story, it's a very tragic story, but it's a really, really well done story, so I highly recommend people check out 15 Hours if they get the chance. How many Space Marines would it take to beat a single Custodes? As many as the plot demands. Because it seems inconsistent, because you'll have one story saying like, oh, it takes about 10 Space Marines with missile launchers to take down a single Custodian, but then in another you have a single Space Marine defeating a Custodian in a duel, so it really does depend on the plot, in all honesty, but let's just, I don't know, 5? Yeah, fuck it, we'll say 5, fuck it. We'll mean Gina, fuck it. That's actually a good impression, actually. Zero Hits asks, if an ogren's smarts can be boosted with a bone-head implant, can the same be done for an animal? I don't think so, no, purely on the basis that, despite being, ogrins, they are still fundamentally human at their core. So, it'll be a lot easier to modify one type of human in that regard than it would be to, say, a dog, The closest you might be able to do is maybe with a chimpanzee, but I think they're actually extinct by the time of 40k, so that's kind of a moot point anyway. So yeah, I think not, no. Are there any examples of characters who have a pet who is probably a little smarter than it should be? I say pretty much anyone with a Gyrinx, because Gyrinxes are incredibly intelligent little buggers. So yeah, anyone with a Gyrinx really, I'd say yeah, anyone with a Gyrinx. And finally, Austin Horner asks, spoilers for End in the Death Part 2, given that Ferrus Manus' arms are confirmed to be coated in necrodermis, and that this confirms the presence of Necron constructs on Medusa, and likely confirms that it is a tomb world, do you believe that there is any Necron tech incorporated within the technology of the Iron Hands? Maybe with the Keys of Hell? Those things that can literally bring the dead back to life? But at the same time, that could also just be Dark Age human tech, so it's kind of 6 and 2 threes really. I mean, it's possible, but if there is any Necron tech, it wouldn't be much, I'd say. It would probably be very minor, if I had to guess. During Sanguinius' final battle, he is completely calm and a little sad. Do you believe this is due to the author forgetting the most famous and lore-significant outcome of Sanguinius' death, or an intentional attempt to soften the effects of the Black Rage going forward? Neither, actually. Because bear in mind when Sanguinius died in End in the Death 2, he died right at the very last page, pretty much. Because the very last page was Horus snapping Sanguinius' neck. So it was pretty much a case of Sanguinius gets his neck snapped, he falls to the deck, smash cut to black. So it's too early to tell just yet because at the time of recording the book's not out yet, but I think the effects of the Black Rage are going to be touched up upon in End in the Death Part 3. Because, again, that book's not out yet at the time of recording, so it might be mentioned there, but at the same time, it may not. Because there's still a bunch of stories and plot lines that have yet to be resolved, so we can but hope. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Until next time, this has been Remlays from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!